And hello, everybody. This is Napa Fan here. And first of all, I'd like to apologize for the technical difficulties that we had earlier on trying to get the race streamed on YouTube. But we are here on Twitch now on the Flatout Racing Network for tonight's Rolling Thunder Gaming All-Star Race Super Speedway style from the Talladega Super Speedway. And most of you might not know who I am. I'm Napa Fan, also known as Benny Watson. And I'm joined alongside Joe Rakowski. We're a couple of guys who do offline commentating a lot, but Efron asked for us to step up here tonight to call this great race that we're going to have here from the Talladega Super Speedway. And it's an all-star race as well, so no points on the line for tonight's event. And Joe, we've both seen a lot of races here at Talladega before, in offline and in online. What is the key to winning a race here to Super Speedway like Talladega?
So something I always like about Talladega is to try and stay up front. That's maybe where it's less chaotic. You can try and ride in the back. We've seen that happen before. We've seen where part of the pack will want to ride up front, part of the pack will want to split to the back and make sure that they don't get involved if there's an early crash. So honestly, both strategies work, but I more favor the ride up front strategy.
And that might be what a lot of guys want to do in this race. Of course, in this event, we have realistic damage. So if you wreck out, odds are your race is going to be ended. And that is not exactly what you want, especially if you wreck early on in an event here at Talladega. Starting on the pole for tonight's race is Donnie Garrett. And when they get ready for the event here, we'll give you the rest of the starting lineup. But we had 33 drivers on the entry list for the race. I believe we're going to have 29 starting here tonight. And telling from what we saw in practice, Joe, how do you think this race will play out here for the 76-lap race at Talladega?
I think early on, you can maybe expect some single file. Obviously, the win pays out at the end of the race. So you don't want to go and tear your stuff up early on. We might see some of that, but I think you're going to see mostly them try and stay calm, ride out, and get there to the finish.
And it's going to be an interesting race here once we get going here. But we thank you all for tuning in. Once again, we apologize for the technical difficulties earlier on, but we hope you enjoyed tonight's broadcast here from the Talladega Super Speedway, and hope everyone's staying safe as well during this interesting time in world history. But we're all here. We're going to have some fun here for the 76-lap event from Talladega. And just waiting for the rest of the field here to get ready. I imagine they're in the driver's meeting at the moment. And going to have to see how this race plays out. But 76 laps of action. There will not be any overtime in this race. So when we cross lap 76, whether it be under the yellow or not, that'll be the official end of this event. And it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes out here at Talladega. But looking forward to see how this one plays out.
We are pacing in turn 3 right now.
All right. We'll get going here. We're about ready to get going here from the Talladega Super Speedway. The number 77 of Donnie Garrett will lead us to the green flag. Alongside him, it's the number 17 of Chuck McClure. Dante Risi in the 84 will be alongside the 24 of Joe DeSpirito. And then Richard Martin will be alongside the number 39 of Josh Metallic. We got ourselves Bob Samara to the inside of the 088 of Tom Knopfster in the 10th position, and in row number 4 just ahead of them, it's Jeremy Jeffries and Jeff Crivello. We're green flag racing here at the Talladega Super Speedway. Here we go for the RTG All-Star Race from Talladega. Both lines rather equal at the moment. Chuck McClure getting a run on the outside there. Help from the 24 machine. Getting up to speed here on lap 1 of 76. Donnie Garrett looking to get the run on the inside lane, but it looks like McClure is going to keep the outside lane and gain the advantage for now.
McClure did a good job there getting a push from the 24 DeSpirito to get up beside the 77, almost clear him. He might be able to get that here out of the trial to maybe clear. I don't know if he'll move down and leave his drafting partner, though.
Very even right now between both lanes. And both lanes have about the equal amount of cars as well, so a very orderly start here for this All-Star race at Talladega. Number 24, Despirito in the 24 machine drafting behind McClure. And they're getting a really good push on that outside lane ahead of the 77 machine of Donnie Garrett.
You can see McClure cleared there, but he's going to stay with the 24 to try and help him get clear. Possibly try and repay the favor for getting him clear there and get that 24 clear as well.
The outside lane seems to be the preferred line at the moment as Chuck McClure looks to lead the second straight lap of the event. Despirito also able to clear that inside lane now if he chooses to do so. And then you got Josh Metallic right behind him. He might also get a shot at clearing the inside here in a couple of laps.
They're stay up to the top side. I think they think there's a little bit more speed up there. Maybe we get better run off the corners. I think right now they're content riding that top side. Don't want to ruin what they have going up there. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right?
Exactly. And back in the field, you have Hank Middleton, who apparently lost the draft at the start. He's actually stuck in gear 3 right now, so it does appear there might be an issue on the 2 machine. But everyone else is in this lead draft. Everyone down from Frank Rivard in the 25th position onto the race leader, Chuck McClure. And that outside lane has really pulled away from the inside. You see Donnie Garrett in the 77. He's fallen back a couple more positions there as the outside lane continues to dominate.
Yeah, you can see 4 cars got clear on that outside. That inside's just starting to fall back. It's not that they don't have the cars, they don't have the help. It's just they don't have the momentum. The outside lane is all that momentum. And it's working out for them. They're going about 4 miles an hour faster than those drivers on the inside.
Playing out very realistic. This is very similar to racing that we would get in a truck race. And to the inside.
There we go.
Oscar in the 088, and now Metallic's also going to dive down to the inside and try to get something to work down there. Espirito still on the outside with McClure. But a lot more momentum on that inside lane, and it does appear that Donnie Garrett moved up to the outside lane, had a hole in between the 56 and the 45 there. Right behind him, Bobby Farrell letting the 77 in.
A lot of lane shifting here early on. I think these drivers are trying to figure out where they want to be, maybe where they feel most comfortable. And you saw that there with the whole lane shift in there. A lot of cars moving around there down the backstretch.
It's still Chuck McClure leading this field in the number 17, and to the inside goes Jeff Cavello. He's got a bit of a run there and a little bit of help from Jeff Metallic. But it does appear that outside lane is still getting an advantage, and you're now seeing Donnie Garrett move up on that outside lane. He had fallen back to around 6th or 7th a couple laps ago, but now he is here in the 3rd position, or battling for the 3rd position, with Crivello to his inside. It's still the 24 behind the 17 for the race lead. It almost appears that Despirito is going to stick with the 17 here as Garrett moves back down to the inside, trying to get something to work on the inside lane.
These drivers definitely don't want to just ride early on. They want to go lead. I assume just pride, maybe bragging rights. They had led most of the laps and got up there and did the best out of anyone early on. But I think it's going to be hard unless you get a lot of dedicated members on the inside to break up the stranglehold of the front 2 on the outside.
And with the 17 and the 24 helping each other, it appears that that outside lane is going to be strong throughout the majority of this race. However, Donnie Garrett is getting a good run here. Help from Crivello behind him in the 56, and that's the closest we've seen the inside get to the outside lane all race long so far. Looks like they will be closing in on lap traffic. Hank Middleton in the 2, who is still stuck in the 3rd gear. And this pack will come roaring around him, but I imagine he'll go to the outside and let the pack by.
Yeah, definitely. Unlike what we are used to seeing with lappers, these ones will actually get out of the way. So this will be something nice to see for once.
Thankfully, it is actual people driving and not the game itself doing it.
They have some self-awareness.
Got Josh Metallic there on that inside lane. Tim Nofsker in the 088 also on the inside. Behind him, it's Dante Risi in the 84. Got the 8 of Jeremy Jeffries, I should say, back in there. Alan Martin in the 5, the 46 of Greg Lovell. The inside lane still not getting that advantage, and now as they're coming around to Middleton, that outside lane working out very well. Here's a guy we haven't talked about yet in this race, Terry Bombard in the 10, all the way up to 4th now, just ahead of him, Bobby Farrell. That outside lane really got a good run there. We'll have to see if anyone peeks to the inside here. If they have the opportunity, they might want to go ahead and take it, but as we've seen so far in this race, that inside lane is not working out too well. Doug Woolley also in the 99 on that outside lane as Garrett has fallen all the way back to the 6th position in the number 77.
And in fact, 6th place, Bob Seminara might actually clear him as well. So that could be 6 cars lined up on the outside. We'll see if they drop down, if they get enough cars to actually do that, and then make it a single file train around the bottom of the racetrack.
And Jeff Crivello is going to move up to the outside lane, and Johnny Garrett's going to have no help. Next guy in line is Josh Metallica, and he's about a car length behind, so he's going to lose even more ground. If you don't have the draft, you're not going to go anywhere here at Talladega. Chuck McClure has led every lap so far here in the RTG All-Star race at Talladega. Have to see if that translates to a good finish later on in the event. 45 of Bobby Farrell here in 3rd. Looks like these guys on the outside lane are rather content to stay up there for the moment. They've seen how strong that outside lane has worked.
I was looking further back in the field. There's about 5 cars that have actually kind of lagged back, like we mentioned, that lane back strategy. One of them, Hank Middleton, actually got caught up into the draft off the front bumper of Jessica Shelton. So Middleton's up to speed, but you see Shelton back here along with some others. Maybe they're just trying to, not really riding back, they don't want to lose the draft, but they're just far enough back to where if they see a crash, they can slow down, slam on the brakes, no one's behind them, they get around it.
Frank Rivard has been in the back of the pack pretty much this entire run. Doug Cady as well in the 7 machine. And then Denny Daniels back in here with Andre Monaghan in the 27, and he mentioned Jessica Shelton there in the 94 machine. All lagged in the back. That might not be a bad place to be this early on in the run. That outside lane's looking really strong. Chuck McClure holding on and leading that line, just like Dale Earnhardt Jr., the Pied Piper here at Talladega. Everyone wants to follow the 17 here in this race.
Yeah, just like real life. Once you see that one lane start to move, more people are going to go up there with it. As I say that, Doug Woolley moves out of line to disprove my point. But more people that see that, they're going to start moving up, and then it's going to create the outside lane being even more strong. But that 99's going to try and make it work on the bomber here.
The outside lane's going to lose a little bit of momentum when someone peeks down to the inside, which gains a little bit of advantage to the inside lane. But those 4 cars right there, you see them. Woolley could probably move back up to the outside right now if he wanted to, but he's going to try to stick it to the inside of the number 10 machine. And they're going to get a bit of a run there on that inside lane. Bobby Farrell on the outside. He's going to have the 99 to his inside, and a little wide off the corner there went Donnie Garrett, and they shuffled back in the pack. That was, I'm trying to see who it is, Nofsker in the 088, who went down below the yellow line to attempt to avoid what could have been an accident. Thankfully, they held on to it, and everyone continues to go, but that spread the pack out just a little bit there. You see Doug Cady at the back of the field, but that's going to break the momentum of that inside lane. They lost some movement there as the 77 moved up high.
That could have been big, but luckily these drivers did a great job holding on to it. That was a big moment right there, and maybe that could now lead to some strategy for those drivers that maybe lost some momentum further back to say, all right, I saw enough. I'm going to go back there. I'm going to stay back here and hope that everything just kind of sells itself up there.
Doug Woolley's going to try to mount a charge on the inside once again, but he's probably going to have to need someone on that outside lane to come down and work that inside lane if he's going to get back up to the front. Meanwhile, I see the 6 there. Wiley Coate in the 6 machine almost moved up to the outside, but he came back down and stayed on the main outside lane. I haven't seen anyone go 3 wide yet in this race, at least on purpose to make a move. So they're doing a great job keeping it together here. And just playing it safer now. It's early on in the race, too. Lap 76. Or should I say, lap 12 of 76. We got a long time before the end of this race, so these guys are going to have plenty of time to work their way from the back to the front. So no need to be aggressive at this point. But Doug Woolley is finding something on the inside lane right there. Now to the inside of the 10 machine. And he might get a run there for the 4th position to the inside of Terry Bombard.
If you can get some dedicated members on the inside, it could definitely work out. Right now, up beside the 5th place car on the outside. And definitely through the corners, you get a better run on the inside, shorter distance around the racetrack. Off the corners, it really prevails on the outside, but if you get more momentum built up on the inside through the middle of the corners versus what they get built up on the exit of the corners, it will work out over the long haul. Just take a few laps to get that going.
Doug Woolley's experimenting a little bit here. This could be very critical to the end of the race. You want to know how to work the inside lane when we get down to the finish of this one, and you know what you can do. If you know the trick to get that inside lane to work, you're going to want to keep that in your head when we get to the end of the event. Top 3, though, a bit of a breakaway as they roll side by side for the 4th position. You got the 24 possibly looking on the outside. Joe DeSpirito and those guys on the outside move to the inside lane. First time we've seen that all race long. That might work out in Bombard's favor there in the number 10 machine because we've seen how that outside lane has prevailed. But maybe it's just the 1724. Chuck McClure and Joe DeSpirito having the strong cars on that outside lane. And now that they're on the inside, maybe the inside will gain an advantage.
Yeah, that definitely broke the momentum the outside lane had. Now it's going to give the inside some momentum. But I don't think Doug Woodley is wanting to stay behind those three. He wants to go up there and pass them. So he might try and jump back up now and try and make the outside work.
He is going to remain in the 4th position for now. Donnie Garrett's moved himself back up to the 5th position. And you got Josh Metallic. Those guys were a little ways back not too long ago, but now they are moving their way on the inside lane as the inside lane is not a dominant lane. Bombard does not have much help in that outside lane, but a couple guys peeking to the outside. They're not going to take it. Johnny Garrett and Doug Woolley looked, but they decided to stay on the inside lane.
Would like to update Doug Cady in the 007 has lost the draft at the back of the field right now, so interesting update there. That might have been when they all did the little jam up off turn 2 there.
And Cady has lost the draft, unfortunately, but like I said, a long race. If we get a caution, he could end up moving his way back to the race lead at some point, as long as he regains the draft. The only guy who's a lap down at this point is Hank Middleton. And I'm not sure where he is on the racetrack. He's actually rejoined the pack. So we'll have to see if he can find his way back to the front in that number 2 machine.
Single file on the inside. See about, what is that, 8-9 cars getting single filed out right there. So definitely either the 17 and the 24s have the strongest cars, which it's a fixed setup, so that's practically impossible, or it just depends on whoever has more people in the lane. With those front 3 moving down, it really affected the momentum on that top side. And you can't get it back with only a few cars out there versus the whole rest of the field on the inside.
And this outside lane is definitely losing a lot of ground now. Not what we saw in the earlier part of this race. It's still led by Terry Bombard on an outside lane, and a lot of guys on the inside moving their way. Dante Reese, Nofsker in the 088, Josh Metallic, Donnie Garrett, Doug Woolley, Bobby Farrell, I should say. Joe DeSpirito in the 24, and then the leader, Chuck McClure, has led every lap so far here in this all-star race at Talladega. It'll be interesting to see what DeSpirito can do if he tries to make a move on the 17 at some point in this race, or if he's going to be content to stay behind him the whole way through.
Yeah, right now. Oh, well, he's behind. The 17 is coming down pit road, so how about that?
I guess he won't stay behind him the whole way through, because here we go. First cycle of pit stops in tonight's event. McClure coming down, Josh Metallic, Tim Nofsker in the 088, David Lawson in the 18, Denny Daniels and Hank Middleton, who's a lap down, all coming down the pit lane. That's going to hand the lead over to Joe DeSpirito in the 24 machine with Bobby Farrell, Doug Woolley, Donnie Garrett, and Dante Reese, the top 5 at the moment. But I imagine all these guys are going to be coming down here soon. We'll have to see who gets the advantage here. If coming down a lap early is a good thing for these guys, only a few guys who came down, so might be a little bit harder to get a good draft. But then on the same side, a little bit easier to come down the pit lane with only a few cars coming down with you. And it's not a traffic jam in the pit lane as they're all trying to come down. We'll see who comes down this time. It looks like they're all going to stay out with the exception of the number 6. A few guys in the back of the field.
Oh!
In the grass there goes Wiley Code in the 6th. Then we got Richard Martin in the 43, also coming down the pit lane.
That leaves most of the field still out there on the racetrack. They're going to come up and lap some of these guys.
Single file line right now for these race leaders. The rest of the drivers have come off the pit lane, and it looks like Josh Metallic beat off Chuck McClure there for the top position of those guys who came down the pit lane. Team Nofsker also there with those guys as well. And Denny Daniels, it does appear he lost the draft of those guys. Same with David Lawson. And Lawson's about to be lapped here by DeSpirito in the 24. We're going to see a lot of guys come down the pit lane here. Majority of the field. And almost 5 wide coming down the pit lane, and way on the outside there was Frank Rivard, who was at the back of the field for quite some time. He gained a lot of ground coming into the pit lane, and around went the 56 of Jeff Crivello. Not exactly the cleanest entry into the pit lane I've seen.
Yeah, there are cars everywhere right now.
Trying to find where their pit stall is, trying to get on the pit lane and not speed. And that's manual cautions, or should I say in-game cautions for this race. So if the game deems a caution is necessary, it will call it out. Thankfully, when Crivello went round at the entrance of the pit lane. Did not trigger the yellow. But these guys coming out now. 77 of Donnie Garrett will not win the race off entirely. Joe DeSpirito with the best run off, and he'll win the race off of those guys, but just a little bit farther behind, you got Josh Metallic, Chuck McClure, and Tim Nosker in the 088. They're coming around here, and they're going to go right to the race lead. So Metallic's going to take it away on lap 20, 76.
Just like you mentioned, easier to enter pit road, and I think that led to a better overall time. We saw about 3, 4, 5 guys have issues with that huge group to get in, and these 3 had no issues because they came in with about 5 other guys, and it worked out perfectly for them. Those 3 are 1, 2, 3. Now the problem is they're going to have more cars back behind in a single file draft. Can they try and run them down now?
I think they will be able to. You got Richard Martin here. And Mark Paglia as well. Haven't mentioned those drivers yet in this race. Jessica Shelton, Riley Coate, they all gained a pretty good advantage. And I believe those were the guys who came down in between our current race leaders and the guys who had most recently come down. So they gained a pretty good advantage. And now they're off to the back bumper of Nosker. Interesting to see if they stay behind them or try to make a run, but it looks like they're going to keep it together for now and stay in a straight line. That will most likely bring in Joe DeSpirito and Bobby Farrell and Greg Lovell as well on the 46, moving his way towards the lead. Frank Rivard gained a lot of ground on the entrance of the pit lane. Remember, he was at the back of the field, back of the pack, a majority of that run, and you saw him when they came down the pit lane. He just drove to the outside of everybody, essentially, and gained about half of the field on that run.
I thought Richard Martin there in 4th place was going to have a run to get to the outside or inside that lead draft. I think he's just content right now riding. He was going a good bit faster than those front 3. I'm sure he's just fine riding right now, just behind those front 3, and maybe just part of the race where you ride out right now. You don't want anything crazy to happen at the front of the field.
Wiley Coate in the 6. Going to pick up Joe DeSpirito here and Bobby Farrell. They're all going to be in the lead draft here. And you got Greg Lovell. He might have lost it in the 46. Frank Rivard and Donnie Garrett, they're too far behind. Doug Woolley, Terry Lombard, or should I say Bombard in the number 10, and then the 712 of Bob Seminara. They're a little ways behind. Alan Martin lost the draft. You got Denny Daniels back in here. Mitch Bombard in the 97. Dante Risi fell back quite a bit. Bernie Mobbs in the 90. And then Andre Monaghan in the 27. Jeremy Jeffries is in 25th position. And then David Lawson is behind him. Hank Middleton, I believe, is still a lap down. And he is. Jeffries is also a lap down. And the number 5 machine is a lap down as well, as Terry Bombard comes down the pit lane in the 10 machine. This could have been a penalty possibly for the number 10. And he's going to come back off, and it was a pass-through for Bombard there. But back to the race lead. Josh Metallic continues to lead with Chuck McClure behind him. Tim Nosker in the 88. And then Richard Martin and Mark Paglia in the 28. The top 5 at the moment, all running very solid races and in the lead draft here at Talladega.
Yeah, Jessica Shelton had a gap in between herself and the top 5. I was wondering if she was laying back trying to get a run, if they were trying to pass. Couldn't quite tell what was happening there. It looks like she laid back. She's experimenting here, trying to see how big a run she can get. Right now, it's a good time to do it. There's about 9 cars in the lead draft. Do it now. If it doesn't work out, you may lose 3 spots, but good to experiment now when there's not a full pack of cars behind you.
Exactly, and they don't have to really worry about all these guys coming into the picture for this lead draft. So it's these 9 guys battling for it, and Jessica Shelton's getting something to work with, help from Wiley Coate in the 6. And DeSpirito also going with those guys, same with Bobby Farrell. Farrell's kind of looking around, seeing which lane he wants to be in, but he's going to stick with that outside lane for now. And they're trying to mount a drive in that outside lane to see if they can get it to work, but a great run for Jessica Shelton. She advanced in through the All-Star Open on Tuesday, the Segment 2 winner. All those drivers who advanced on through that race, her and Mark Paglia doing the best job so far, both of those drivers into this lead pack right now.
Yeah, I really think that was smart of Jessica right there to do that when she had the opportunity. As you can see right there, they're pulling low.
And I do believe we got ourselves a competition caution here at lap number 25. And Josh Metallic, the race leader of the event. They were just about to lap Doug Cady.
Oh, wow.
That's going to work out pretty well for the driver of the number 7.
Yeah, just what he needed right there as well.
Josh Metallic, Chuck McClure in the 17. Tim Nofsker in the 088. Richard Martin in the 43. Jessica Shelton was 5th when the competition caution was called. Mark Paglia in the 28. Wiley Coate is 7th. Joe DeSpirito 8th. Bobby Farrell 9th. And then Donnie Garrett round out the top 10. That's a good break for those guys. Doug Woolley as well. Frank Brevard, Bob Seminara, and Greg Lovell. They're all going to rejoin the pack.
Yep, get caught back up.
And Doug Cady going to drive back around to catch the end of the field here. With Josh Metallic, the race leader here. So what are your thoughts on the first 25 laps of this race so far? It's been very interesting that inside lane got a good run midway through the run, but the outside lane was strong to begin with. So how do you think it's going to play out for the rest of the race?
I think it might actually depend on where the race leader is, as which lane is going to be the best. Obviously, it's going to depend on which lane has more cars, but if the leader is down there, it's about an equal amount of cars. I think whichever lane has the leader is actually going to be the lane to go with. So it might just be follow the leader, but you definitely know drivers are going to be at the end of the race making sure that it's not follow the leader and that's follow me instead.
And with this being an all-star race, some few extra elements to the event. And before we began with the broadcast, Administrator Terry Bauman let us know that at lap 25, they would be inverting the field, and that is really going to work out for Doug Cady, who was just about to be lapped. Now he's going to be the race leader when we get back to racing. So,
don't you love being in on surprises?
Yeah, it's been a crazy day, especially for you. It has been.
Yes.
But Doug Cady is now going to be the race leader, and they're going to come down the pit lane and get everything organized so that they can get into their respective positions. Works out for Jeff Crivello as well. He was one of those guys who was running inside the top 10 at the beginning, did not have a good pit stop. Same with Terry Bombard, who I actually believe had a penalty. During that green flag cycle of stops there. See David Lawson there in the number 18 at the back. All these guys are going to be the ones who are leading. Andre Monaghan in the 27 as well. And you're going to see the number 7 move himself up to the top position. Interesting range of emotions there for the number 7, I'd imagine. You're about to get lapped, and now you're the race leader all of a sudden.
Yeah, he didn't know this was coming either. He was just looking back there being like, oh, here comes the pack. And then this happens and obviously didn't know about it. So he's got very fortunate with what just happened right there for sure.
And we couldn't mention it until now because we know a couple of the drivers might watch the broadcast. And if we mentioned it, they would have known and they would have fallen to the back. But complete total surprise for these drivers, and they're going to line it up here. So now we're going to see guys who are in the back of the field lead this race. How do you think that's going to play out for the rest of the event?
Oh, it's going to shake things up for sure. You saw the dominant cars like Josh Metallic and Chuck McClure, Joe DeSpirito. They're going to be at the back of the pack now, or further back in the pack. So they're going to want to fight their way through for sure. And we'll see now how these drivers are maybe laying back. We talked about that laying back strategy. If it was going to work out, what works out in this scenario, because now these guys that laid back, they're going to be the race leaders. And we'll see what their cars are going to be like.
I'm very intrigued to see, especially our race leaders, Josh Metallic, Chuck McClure. Of course, McClure definitely seemed to have a strong car at the beginning of that run there. It's going to be interesting to see if they can work their way from the back to the front. I mean, with what we saw there in that green flag run, seemed like everyone was pretty static with where they were and pretty content to stay where they were inside their respective lines. But it'll be interesting to see if someone can move their way through the field when we get back to racing here. But they're getting lined up, and this is how they will line up for the restart. Doug Cady will be your race leader. Then Jeff Crivello in the 56 will be on the outside pole. Terry Bombard in the 10, and David Lawson will make up row number 2. Andre Monaghan in the 27. Hopefully I'm pronouncing your name right. I do apologize. I will say, a lot of these drivers I've never commentated before. I've never been in a race with these guys, and I'm sure they're great drivers. I mean, they've shown that, and I've done online races where they wreck every single lap, and I got to hand it to these guys. They know what they're doing, and it's very pleasant to call a race with guys who know what they're doing. Dante Risi in the 84, and the 97 of Mitch Bombard will be in row number 4 on the restart. Denny Daniels in the 37, and Greg Lovell in the 46 will make up row number 5. Bob Seminara in the 712 to the inside of Frank Rivard. Frank Rivard won the first segment in the All-Star Open on Tuesday. Doug Woolley will be to the inside of Donnie Garrett. Bobby Farrell will be to the inside of Joe DeSpirito. Then Wiley Coate in the 6th will be to the inside of Mark Paglia in the 28. Jessica Shelton to the inside of Richard Martin. Tim Nofsker in the 088 to the inside of Chuck McClure. And then the 39 of Josh Metallic will be the last driver on the lead lap. The other 3 drivers, Alan Martin, Jeremy Jeffries, and Hank Middleton, those drivers are a lap down and they will restart in the back of the field.
And say welcome back to the lead lap for those drivers as well, because they got their laps back into this yellow. So Alan Martin, Jeremy Jeffries, and Hank Middleton back on the lead lap. New slate.
Only thing is, they don't get the benefit of going to the front of the pack with that.
Yes,
but hey,
exactly.
Everyone back on the lead lap here, and that really works out for Hank Middleton. He started out really tough, ended up in the 3rd gear, could not move into the 4th gear apparently. But there he is, going to restart in the 26th position. So all 26 drivers still in this race. Now, how do you think this race is going to play out here from Talladega?
Well, this is probably the longest I've gone in an online race, seeing cars still left running. Normally, we've seen a DNF by now. I think we know a thing or two about that.
These are probably the best drivers we've ever commentated in our lives.
Yeah,
so.
and you say good drivers as if we would do any better than anyone else. That's why we're up here.
Trust me.
And so yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I mean, the whole field flipped. Now no one knows, like, how's Doug Cady gonna do at the front? Is that 7 car gonna be good in that clean air? Terry Bombard had that penalty you mentioned, and then we're going to be obviously focusing on the drivers at the back that have had good cars, like we saw Doug Woolley give a restart mid-pack, and Joe DeSpirito, and all these other drivers towards the back. Obviously Chuck McClure and Josh Metallic just went from leading the race, now he's going, oh man, I'm back in 23rd. So I mean, he's probably a little fired up about this right now, definitely, but it's going to be fun for him. Can't make it too easy.
No. That's the All-Star race.
Yeah.
For points.
Gotta
Like
have
I
some
mentioned,
fun.
you never know what they're going to throw at you, and
It
very
could be a
interesting.
4-wide restart at some point. You never know.
Hey, who knows? They would have told us, though, if we had something like that. But maybe not.
Joke on us
Who knows? Well, first time calling this league. I want to thank everyone for letting me do this. I know we had a bit of a technical difficulty at the start and didn't feel too prepared at the beginning because of all that, but I think we're ready and set to go here under 50 laps in the RTG All-Star race from Talladega. Doug Cady going to lead us back to the green flag. We're racing once again at Talladega.
Very kind of equal start there, but Doug Cady does clear. And we'll see now if he'll move up or stay on the inside, and there's a huge gap through most of these cars, so we could see some lane shifting here as they come off turn 2.
Yeah, Mangian in the 27 did not get going on that restart there. We're going to have to see if that outside lane gets the advantage this time.
Big
and
push.
I mean, they will. Look at that. There's no formation on the inside, and already
three
three
wide.
wide. Denny Daniels looking to get a run on the 27. Didn't happen. Bombard now losing a lot of ground. Is that outside lane just outside, and it's going to be Jeff Crivello taking the race lead here on lap 28.
Well, they're starting to get a little more brave now, that's for sure. The intensity, they're four wide back behind.
And way on the outside. That's Dante Risi in the 84, and he's going to lose a ton of ground.
That may have been a driver whose original plan was to hang out in the back, and then this kind of caught him by surprise. And now he's like,
and then he ended up at the front.
Yeah. So he's just dropping back to where he wants to be right now, I think.
Greg Lovell also looking to drop back and single file up front. And Cady did not get going there. Of course, he had no help behind him. They're all trying to get to that outside lane, and he just went back. So now the race leader, Jeff Crivello in the 56. David Lawson in the 18. Bernie Mobbs also up here, and he won the third segment of the Open on Tuesday. Terry Bombard in fourth. He ended up back on that outside lane, and then Mitch Bombard behind him in the 97. Bob Seminara there in sixth. Doug Woolley, and then we got three wide right here. They're looking to split Cady. That is Mangian in the 27 to the inside, and now three wide again as Denny Daniels moves to the inside of the Spirito and the 35 machine of Frank Rivard.
They're getting close back here, three wide, but they're keeping it clean, doing a great job. They know what they're doing, and they're trying to sort at that 27's trying to let the 24 in line, but you got a big boost from the 77 right there. You see that run he got?
Yeah, but on the outside, Frank Rivard got a boost from the 37 of Denny Daniels, and there goes Rivard back to the outside lane. Ended up getting a pretty good boost there, but the 37 of Daniels is left to dry, and no help for the 37 on that outside lane. Looks like he's going to fall back. Single file throughout the top 10 positions here at Talladega. The first side-by-side is Manjian, and then Donnie Garrett, or pole sitter. An interesting race so far. He's all over the place trying to work the inside lane, and during the green flag set of pit stops we had before the competition caution that flipped the field, he ended up not getting off the pit lane too fast and lost the draft initially, but I'm pretty sure he's glad about that caution coming out so he can get back in this lead draft. Looking to the outside of Doug Cady, and he's going to have some help there from Joe DeSpirito and the 28 machine of Mark Paglia.
That outside, 3 wide, Chuck McClure, and the 39 of Josh Metallic, and they see the 088, Tim Nosker. I mean, those are 3 drivers that were up at the front early on, and then they got shuffled back. They're trying to work the rep 3 wide.
It's going to be interesting to see what they can do here as we get this green flag run going. Might want to join that outside lane. It seems like
working.
that 35's getting a pretty good run. Frank Rivard's now got Donnie Garrett behind him, and they're starting to get some of the work on that outside lane compared to the inside lane.
17's going 3 wide again back behind. Look
at
there they go.
And around, back in there. The 6 is around, and upside down goes the 45 machine of Bobby Farrell. Our first true caution. There's Alan Martin. He is destroyed. And realistic damage, that's what's going to happen. Going to get guys knocked out when you get a wreck. Wiley Coate in the 6. I believe he might be able to continue in that machine. And then Bobby Farrell in the 45 also. He went upside down and all that. Race back to the line. Or I'm not sure if they do race back to the line. It's probably a caution that comes out instantly. But either way, Jeff Crivello is the race leader with David Lawson. Well, it took them 33 laps, but we got our first wreck of the evening, and it looked a little wild back in there.
Alan Martin is done. He'll be the first car out.
And let's see what happened to bring out this first true caution. We had the competition caution on lap 25, but the first caution for contact here at the Talladega Super Speedway. It'd be interesting to see what specifically happened. Oh, and it looks like Doug Cady hit the brakes. Manjian hit the brakes as well in reaction, and Bobby Farrell had nowhere to go but around as Wiley Coate came around him, and blowing over went the 45.
Wiley Coate's fortunate to have not blown over himself. I mean, he got air, but he didn't go all the way over. He landed back on all 4s. But for Bobby Farrell, that was not the case.
The inside wall, had nowhere to go for him, unfortunately. But those were the only 3 drivers mainly involved. Not sure if Dante Risi was involved or not, or if he was just hanging back, and that was a good reason to hang back.
Yep, hang back and miss that crash. He got through it unscathed, just kind of slowed down, rolled it in there, and missed any contact.
We play this one more time in real time. Get a full effect of how fast this all went down, but Cady in the 7 reacted, I think, to the 99 ahead of him.
Yes.
And it was just a stack up. That's all it was.
I think it was an almost block, and it kind of shuffled the field up, and maybe some reactions back behind thinking they were going to crash.
Well, our first caution for contact, and they are down the pit lane here at Talladega. We'll have to see who wins the race off. Looks like a lot of these guys are taking tires just about halfway through this race.
Yeah.
I kind of think. Close to it. We're really close to halfway.
Lap 38 would be halfway.
Lap 38, so within a couple of laps, we'll be halfway through this race already. It's gone by pretty quickly here. Jeff Crivello in the 56 will win the race off the pit lane. Donnie Garrett rebounding very nicely on the pit lane there. Looks like he's going to be second. Bernie Mobbs is going to be third. Terry Bombard will be fourth. And then Frank Rivard will be in the 5th position. You see Bobby Farrell there in the 45. And I believe the first driver out was Alan Martin. We might get him in to interview him here in a moment. And he will be out of the race. Let's see what Bobby Farrell does. He's still on the pit lane, but I'd imagine he's also going to be out as well. But he's not getting anything to work for him right now in the 45. And could be repairing damage, not entirely sure, but it doesn't look good for driver number 45 here at Talladega.
Oh, we're being told Alan Martin has left the building.
Tough break there for driver number 5.
Obviously disappointing this early on.
Mm-hmm. Oh, hey, we're used to wrecks happening on the first lap, though. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
now maybe for these guys, and you know, I will say my first time calling a race for these guys here, Rolling Thunder Gaming.
Bobby
But
Farrell's still out there.
yeah, and he'll get back out there. Good for him. Good for him. Went upside down, still gonna race
Roof
it.
is smashed in, but you know what? If it drives, it drives. Dale
It
Earnhardt style,
does.
right?
But yeah, but these guys, I will say, talented drivers, no doubt about it. And that was just a simple stack up down the backstretch, an honest mistake. I mean, we've seen races where they're going all over the place. These guys have been very solid, and you got to hand it to them for driving a good race. My first experience with this league before, and I got to say, I'm definitely impressed. Great stuff here tonight from Talladega. And I'm really looking forward to see who gets this race victory because, you know, really can't put my money on any specific driver. We've seen a lot of strong ones here tonight.
Yeah, tough car in that 45 for sure. But yeah, this is definitely something very different than what we've ever done before. Obviously, we're used to seeing a lot of crashes at numerous different tracks. Normally, it's Talladega and painted all orange and stuff like that. But it's obviously a crazy event, and there's no realistic damage in that one. So these drivers obviously know the consequences. If they just wreck a little bit, it could be the end of their race. So I'm sure they're keeping that in mind.
Be interesting to see how it all goes down for the rest of this event, but as Joe mentioned, we also do another special event every year around Halloween, Talladega from the NSARA. It's one of our favorite events to do all year round, and hopefully we'll be able to do it again this year. It'll be my 3rd time calling that race, so always love races at Talladega.
Yes.
Whether it be offline or online, and tonight we're getting a great one here for an
We
online
got
race here
some
in
bump
Rolling
in the
Thunder
pace car
Gaming.
at the front.
Well, thankfully, the pace car is translucent, or not translucent, transparent.
Yes.
One of the two, you can drive through it and everything will be just fine.
Well, Jeff Gravel is hoping that right now. He's definitely testing the waters.
Drafting the pace car.
Yes. That Brett Bodine in there?
Hope you folks are enjoying the broadcast here tonight on the Flatout Racing Network. And we've had a great race so far here from Talladega in the Rolling Thunder Gaming All-Star Race. We've seen quite a bit happen so far. Of course, the big surprise in lap 25 when they inverted the field. That puts Jeff Crivello up front now, who wasn't up front when that decision was made at lap 25, so it worked out in the favor of a lot of drivers, but unfortunately just had our first caution for contact. And we've got a few guys who are going to top off here. Mark Paglia in the 28.
Hey, not a bad idea. Talladega, you're at the back anyway. It's...
And, you know, who knows? This could end up being a fuel mileage race to the end. Jeremy Jeffries also coming down. Greg Lovell, Andre Monaghan in the 27. And Dante Risi also topping off as well.
Is still out there on the lead lap and did not pit that time, so he's just gained some spots.
He's going to be in the middle of the pack here, only unless he decides to go to the back. We have to see how that 45 runs. I mean, if he has enough of a motor, he can roll the draft and possibly get a good finish out of this. Who knows?
Just move out of the way and
maybe even a win. I've seen crazier things before.
Yeah, that's, you know, have at it.
Like I mentioned, not for points, all-star race. Going to be a fun one here. Last half of this event. We're going to restart on lap 37 to 76, just before halfway.
40 to go when we get it.
Plays out.
Oh, I think we got guys trying to pass the pace car.
All bunching up here to come to the restart. Jeff Crivello is your race leader. To his outside, it's Donnie Garrett. Then we got Bernie Mobbs in 3rd. Terry Bombard in 4th. Frank Rivard up to 5th. David Lawson to his outside. Joe DeSpirito is in 7th. Bob Seminara in the 712 is in 8th. 7 of Mitch Bombard, and then the 17 of Chuck McClure. That's the top 10 coming to the restart. Doug Woolley to the inside of Josh Metallic. Then we got ourselves the 88, or 080, I should say, of Tim Nosker, and then the 43 of Richard Martin. Two Machine Hank Middleton, who had an issue at the start of the race, went a lap down early on. He's back on the lead lap in 15th. And then Bobby Farrell, who went flying through the air. Bit of hood damage, or should I say roof damage on that 45 machine. We'll have to see how he rolls here. Doug Cady, Wiley Coden the 6, Mark Paglia on the 28, Jeremy Jeffries, Greg Lovell, Dante Risi, Andre Mongan, Denny Daniels, and Jessica Shelton. Those are the drivers coming to the restart. Everybody, I do believe, is still in the lead lap. Only driver out of the race, Alan Martin, in the number 5. Unfortunately, too much damage from the prior accident. Here we go. We'll have to see how this all plays out.
Green flag.
The restart on lap 37 of 76. And that outside lane got a good jump. Donnie Garrett, remember, on the start of the race. And Bobby Farrell, oh boy.
Wow.
He did not get going.
That's a science experiment gone wrong.
And that could be an issue. I mean, let me rephrase that. This is an offline. They're not going to drive in the racing line. Be to the outside, thankfully. But inside, getting a jump right there. Jeff Crivello getting that inside lane to work, trying to get an advantage on Donnie Garrett, who's on the outside lane right now. Side by side for the race lead. 2 laps from now, we'll be officially halfway through the All-Star race in Rolling Thunder Gaming.
The 77, they're losing some ground through the corners. The inside with the shorter radius around, but he'll get a nice run on the outside here with a nice push as well. And they'll be side by side. Oh, a little loose there entering the tri-oval.
This is the tightest we've seen them all race long. And we saw what happened. If one guy checks up just a little bit, they're all going to go around and even upside down. Still side by side and to the outside. That was David Lawson in the 18. He decided to peek out. Joe DeSpirito's going to move up to that outside lane. Of course, we saw the success he had on that outside lane at the start of the race. He's going to try to work his way back to the lead.
DeSpirito back to a familiar place in that outside lane.
35 working on the inside right there. Frank Rivard, he's had a very nice race so far. As Gasly worked his way to the front. Of course, he got a little bit of help with the call made to lap 25, but he's now worked his way inside the top 5. They're coming a little close right there.
Don't want to alarm anyone. Bobby Farrell is going 130 miles an hour. Just
they might have to call him in.
Yeah.
you might just have to do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Normally, that would be a little too slow.
No, it's Thursday night. I think they call that Sunday drive.
That wasn't a Sunday drive a few laps ago for him, but
no.
Hey, gotta give him props for trying at least, This is getting intense up front right here.
Yeah, they might crash before they get to him, so they might not have to worry about him. They're 3 wide.
Yeah, and you know what? There's a third line working.
It's coming.
And there's a lot of guys up there, too.
Moving.
And the 3 guys who are up there. Oh,
Dominant.
Boy, Frank Rivard a little bit low there. Got a little loose through the corner. But Tim Nosker in the 088, Chuck McClure in the 17, and then you got Josh Metallic. Those 3 guys have been with each other a majority of this race, and they're trying to get to the front. Getting a little intense up front here, as we're now halfway.
Oh,
and the 90.
Boy.
Bernie Mobbs, and he's going to have to...
Merge
he's going to come back up 4 wide for a moment right there.
Whoa, look
and
out.
Now, Mitch Bombard also getting loose. That inside lane's going to lose a lot of momentum. Meanwhile, you got David Lawson on that outside lane coming. This is the first time we've seen her 3 wide, and they're struggling just a little bit. They're holding it together for now, doing a great job. But look at this run on the outside lane from both lines. Donnie Garrett's going to lose out from the race lead, and now it's side by side between David Lawson and Terry Bombard in the 10. Look who's behind Bombard. Joe DeSpirito in the 24, who was second majority of the race before her first pit stop.
Yeah, that outside, that way outside really benefited from that inside getting all checked up. It really slowed the middle down as well just a little bit. And Lawson, all those other guys on the outside, they've been committed to each other and they've been really good at it here today. So I think they can get it done on that way outside lane.
They are doing a great job, and you got 3 of the stronger cars. At least they were strong before the first caution came out. And they're working that outside lane very nicely with David Lawson in the 18 machine. That inside, when everyone started scrambling on the inside lane, getting loose, just lost all the momentum, and you see Donnie Garrett falling through the field once again.
Yeah, that's...
Terry Bombard staying in that middle lane. That's the best place to be, and definitely forcing those guys on that outside lane to stay up there. David Lawson losing a bit of momentum as Bombard, keeping that inside through the middle on the 18 machine.
That way outside's got more people, too. More people have gone up there and seen the success. They're trying to join.
Before you know it, I think that inside lane might completely fizzle out. But then again, they're starting to gain a little bit more momentum.
Yeah,
We've
they're
got
starting
some
to come
guys in
back.
the inside lane right now. There's good stuff here at Talladega. Great racing from these drivers. Donnie Garrett trying to work that inside lane right behind him. And I'm trying to make sure Jeff Crivello in the 56. The middle lane's getting another push right there. Greg Lovell in the 46 through the middle right there. I haven't talked about him too much. Been a quiet race for him. Been a quiet race for a lot of the guys in the middle of this field. Richard Martin in the 43 is another one of those guys who's had a quiet race. But realistically, anyone in this lead pack right now still has a chance at winning this event. I mean, heck, even Hank Middleton. I mean, we saw what happened to him at the start of the show. Got stuck in third gear, couldn't get going. Well, he got back on the lead lap, and here he is inside the top 10. It's the highest he's been all race.
Yeah, he's definitely rebounded. Obviously, needs some extra push and help to shift up to fourth there. But look at that move right there, the 9-9 moving up to the outside.
Doug Woolley with a great move to the outside there. He's going to have some help there from the 18 machine of David Lawson. Now, those top three, they lost a bit of ground. Hank Middleton's going to close in on him, but he's about 4 car lengths behind. Woolley's going to get a push here on the outside from Lawson.
That's some side draft.
Going to try to get to the race leader, Terry Bombard, in the 10.
Doug Woolley's definitely been one here today that has not been content riding. He will when he needs to, but when there's pack like this back behind him and there's lanes coming, he will definitely start shifting around. We saw that earlier in the race. He's not afraid to do that, and I think that's definitely going to pay big dividends coming down to the end of this race.
Meanwhile, it does appear that inside lane has fizzled out. Now we're back down to 2 lanes. But still, Terry Bombard's working the middle lane through the corner, so theoretically there is no inside lane right now, just a middle and outside lane. How about Hank Middleton here? Doing a good job moving his way through the field up to the 4th position. Greg Lovell here as well, up to 5th now. And I really like what Donnie Garrett has been doing so far in this race. He's gone back, he's gone up front, he's gone back, he's gone up front. Middleton going to try to make a move right here. Like I was mentioning with Donnie Garrett, he's been all over the place. He's rebounded quite a bit. He's gone up and down throughout this entire race. Can't count him out yet. Can't count anyone out yet in this race.
And Greg Lavelle through that middle lane, getting to 4th. Donnie Garrett's coming back. I mean, this slicing and dicing through the field.
It'll be interesting to see how the rest of this race plays out. Of course, we will have another pit stop at some point in this event. Terry Bombard's in a good position for when we get a green flag cycle. Of course, guys starting to spread out a little bit more, a little bit different than the 3 wide we saw at the beginning of this run. Doug Cady, of course, he ended up restarting first under our first restart of the race after they inverted the field, but he's now in the back of the field, unfortunately. And Dante Ricci in the 84 is well back in there. But then again, he's deciding to do that. He's been in the back majority of this race. We're going to see what he can do, because he hasn't been up there racing with these guys, and to see if that E4 has something for the rest of the field. Now that outside lane's starting to fizzle out, and it's becoming a single file line across the whole racetrack, which is good. So I'd imagine in a couple of laps here, in a few laps, I'd imagine we're going to get some green flag pit stops here. Pit for fuel and tires, and those guys are going to need it. And who knows, it could become a fuel mileage race. I think they started coming down around lap 17, if I'm not mistaken, on that first green flag run.
There's Bobby Farrell.
We got Bobby Farrell in the 45, and you had a wild ride there down the backstretch. You tried to keep it going, but just couldn't do it. But what was your whole perspective there on what happened on the backstretch to bring out the first caution?
Yeah, it looks like somebody in the front of me decided to just slow down, or, I don't know, hit the brakes in the middle of the track, and then all of a sudden it just, no place to go. I got hit from behind, and as you all saw, I flew through the air like a kite.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you couldn't continue on with it, but at least it wasn't for points. Still a great run for you nonetheless, and just an unfortunate way to get caught up. So we got another caution on the racetrack.
Tim Nosker is just blown up.
Oh, man, that's a tough break for the 088. But either way, thank you for joining us, Bobby, and good luck on the rest of the season driving the number 45.
Thank you for having me, and thank you guys for broadcasting this race for us.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
He was in the middle of the pack when this happened. Tim Nosker was.
And that's a tough race for him. He's one of those guys who was running with Chuck McClure and Josh Metallic in the 39. And Thankfully, it did not take out any other victims, but it's going to give these guys another opportunity to come down the pit lane. Got the 10 of Terry Bombard leading the field, with Joe DeSpirito in the 24 running second. Bob Seminara in the 712 is third. Greg Lovell is fourth, and Doug Woolley the top 5.
You gotta wonder what let go on that car to have that happen there. You put it in the wall to make sure he didn't hit anyone, but some scary stuff for the drivers back behind, seeing that happen. And car just...
And of course, we saw what happened when the first caution came out. Now, this happened through the corner.
Yes.
But you're going to see here the 88 entering turn number 1. There was a gap between him and McClure, thankfully, but McClure had to duck down on the inside, and he had to think fast to avoid that one. That almost looks like a tire went down.
Something
crazy. Because there's no smoke coming from the 088. He went straight to the outside wall there. You see we saw a little bit of right side damage earlier.
We'll have to maybe get him in here and ask him what went wrong. He's parked in the grass now to get out of the way of the drivers entering pit road, but
that might do it for him for the rest of this race, unfortunately. Yeah. But Terry Bombard going to lead him down the pit lane. Number 24, Joe DeSpirito, going to be second. Bob Seminara going to be third. See who wins the race off fall with the top guy. And that is Johnny Garrett.
After one of the number 1 pit stall.
You would think that would have worked out for him pretty well, and it did under the last caution. He ended up getting up to second, but he restarted on the... Actually, he ended up on the outside lane.
Well, it depends on where that line
back a little bit. He got a good run off, though. I mean, he's been utilizing that top position all race long under these cautions. But Joe DeSpirito is going to go to the race lead. This might be the first time we've seen the 24 lead in this race, and he's been a guy who's been up front a majority of the event. So we're going to have to see what DeSpirito can do as the race leader. We'll have to see if they give Garrett the second position or not. Great run off for Greg Lovell. Bob Seminara as well in the 712, and Frank Rivard in the 35, also with a good run off the pit lane. Very interesting race so far for these guys, and Jessica Shelton at the back of the field. I believe she's going to be the last car on the lead lap when we restart. And check in and see, I believe the 088 has officially retired. A header, actually, on the 088.
We'll get him in here and ask him what that was like.
And Tim Nosker in the 088. Tough break there for you there through the corner, but what exactly happened? What was going through your mind when the issue occurred there through the corner?
Yeah, just basically shut off. Realistic damage. I mean, you know, you're going to have your random motor failures. Unfortunately, it was my turn.
Yeah, roulette.
Tough break there.
Got you there.
Yeah, thankfully it didn't involve anybody else, but you were having a strong run. I mean, I know you guys you were running with Chuck McClure and the 39 of Josh Metallic. Did you guys have a plan to move up to the front of the pack at some point at the race? Are we all working together there?
Yeah. Those are my kind of go-to guys on Thursday night. So we know what each other does, and we draft real well together. So I was planning on hanging with those two at least to the end. And it just never got that far. But yeah, I look for one of those guys to be strong contenders to win the race. They're probably best of the best when it comes to super speedway stuff.
We've had our eyes on them all night long. Had our eyes on a lot of people, but wouldn't be surprised if one of them got the race victory here tonight. But either way, tough break for you. Good luck on the rest of the season, though. And thanks for joining us here. And hope you have a great rest of the season.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to thank you guys for doing the broadcast, and throw a shout out to Bones and Terry for always putting something new. I wasn't real thrilled about the invert. Didn't know about it, but you know, that's just part of the racing deal. So it was a fun thing, and it was a challenge to make our way back up through there. So it was kudos to them for throwing us a curveball.
Yep.
Yeah, we had to keep it a secret. They told us before the show, but we kept it a secret until it happened.
Yeah, we were all a little surprised. So, but we were making our way back up. It's you know, if you're good enough, it shouldn't matter whether you start at the back or the front. So
yeah, it was pretty entertaining watching you.
Okay.
Well, either way, thank you for joining us, and like I mentioned, good luck on the rest of the season here.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
And Jim Nasser in the 088, only our third retirement of the day. He joins Bobby Farrell and Alan Martin in the garage, but the rest of the 23 drivers still on the lead lap. And we still got another lap before we get back to racing here. But it does appear that Joe DeSpirito is going to take the outside lane, and that's no surprise to see out of the 24 because we've seen that outside lane really work well here tonight.
Yeah, he's basically lived up there. Bumped out from the pace car again. But Donnie Garrett got back up to second. That number one pit stall starting on pole has worked out for him. We'll see what he can do now that he's back to the front. I mean, he seemed to be up and down. If you look at his graph of where he's been all day, probably just kind of spikes everywhere. So he's hoping to keep his spike now at the top and let it plateau there.
I'm interested to see how this all plays out. I'm not sure how happy Donnie Garrett is about that. He's been on that inside a couple times, and he really hasn't been able to get it to work too well in this race. Of course, the start of the race was a very good example of that, and that's when we saw Chuck McClure dominate the early portions of this event. But all this racing going on, and we only got ourselves
25 to go
26 laps to go. It'll be 25 at the line, so we're down to the last third of the event. They're running out of time, and with the looks of this race, they're not going to have, that easy of a time moving their way to the front. So, for guys like Chuck McClure who were dominant earlier on, and Ryan Metallic, they lost their drafting partner, Oscar, in the 088.
Mm-hmm.
So, we'll have to see how they work their way to the front, but they haven't done so as easily as we thought they could. But Joe DeSpirito's been able to rebound very nicely in this race, now up to the race lead, and of course, the pole sitter Donnie Garrett still has a shot at this one as well.
And also don't count out possible field strategy here, because if it stays green, they could go, we saw about 17, 18 laps, 19, and we're going to come around to 25 to go. So they're going to have to make a green flag pit stop if this thing does stay green all the way.
That will definitely be interesting if we stay green, but the later on in the race we get, the more wild it gets. And I got to hand it to these guys. They've done a great job, and their last caution was just because of a mechanical issue, so only one wreck in this race so far. But those last 25 laps are always the wildest, especially when it comes to a super speedway.
And for a win, yeah, absolutely.
Joe DeSpirito leading the race. Donnie Garrett to his inside. Bob Seminara in the 712. Greg Lovell to the inside of him. That's row number 2. Doug Woolley, Frank Rivard in row number 3. Jeff Crivello in the 56 to the inside of Richard Martin. Hank Middleton and the 8 of Jeremy Jeffries. Both of those guys are 1 point a lap down in this race, and now both inside the top 10. Here we go. 25 laps to go when we restart. For Joe DeSpirito.
They're stacking them up under caution.
Up just a little bit there.
Trying to anticipate, get a run.
There they go. Took them a little while to get to in there, but they wanted to make sure everyone was in order before they went, and they still stacked it up a little bit there. That 35 went to the outside. Frank Rivard wanted to work that outside lane right there. That's definitely the place to be. But how about the 77 here? He's got a little bit of help from Greg Lovell. Donnie Garrett trying to work it. Oh, we got him to the 24 just a little bit there. And that 77 had a big shove, but I don't think it's going to be enough to clear the outside. However, that inside has formed back up. You got Crivello in the 56, Hank Middleton, Bernie Mobbs in the 90. They're going to try to work that inside lane. But Joe DeSpirito in the 24 holding on to the race lead for now. How about Bob Seminara in the 712? We really haven't seen much of him up front in this race. Here he is in second.
Doug Woolley third on that outside again.
And that outside lane's really working well now. That 77 just can't get that help from behind and work to the inside of the 24. We're going to have to see if anyone, Doug Woolley's a great candidate to peek down to that inside and try to get some of the work down there. We've seen him do it a couple times in this race already.
Absolutely.
Seminara, he could try to make a move on the 24 now if he wanted to, but I think he's going to stay behind him.
Yeah.
Now you got Frank Rivard also clearing the inside lane, and I'd imagine Richard Martin's going to do the same here soon.
Well, Donnie Garrett's got to be a little fuming in there. Whatever he does, it just doesn't work out.
Tough break for him, but like I mentioned, I've seen him go to the back and then find his way back up front. He's been rebounding all race long, so it's far from over for any of these guys. go through the field here. Got a lot of side-by-side battle going on. Bernie Mob still back a little bit there. David Lawson, remember when he was doing the last green flag run, had that outside lane 3 wide. Josh Metallic still back here. McClure's rebounded rather nicely. He's actually about to get around the 77 as that outside lane continues to dominate. And then still back in here, Dante Risi in the 84, Mitch Lombard in the 97, and Jessica Shelton in the 94. They're hanging in the back. And remember, Wiley Cote in the 6. He almost went upside down.
Yeah.
And unlike Bobby Farrell, he's able to keep on going in 4th gear.
Yeah, he was trying out for the Olympics. They may not be this year, but, you know, just giving us a little taste of what we can experience, and got a good landing.
Yeah, he did. And like I said, he still has a chance at this thing.
Still going.
He might not be able to run up front, but with the draft, it's the great equalizer. Definitely stick with these guys and maybe get a good run to the finish.
I mean, if they all crash in front of him, all he has to do is miss it.
We're going to have to see how the rest of this race plays out as they're filing it down up front. Now, I'm really intrigued to see what will happen if we're in a situation like this coming to the checkered flag, because that's where it can get really interesting. We haven't seen second place make a move on first place in this situation yet in this race. How do you think that's going to work out? Because everyone behind second place is also going to be wanting to go for that race victory.
Well, they're
How will
spinning
it play out
behind, so
if we
the
get
yellow's
that?
out. And they're crashing onto pit road.
And
We
we
have
got
cars
ourselves another
all over
wreck
the
back
place.
in the field. Wiley Cote, Jessica Shelton, Andre Mongian in the 27,
Might
and
have been
then
a Doug
Doug
Cody's day.
Cady as well.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
Just hear
This
those
will give
tires
these guys an
squealing.
opportunity to come down the pit lane. And thankfully,
Just-
this wreck was at the back of the field.
And that's just on the edge of the fuel window, if I do believe.
Mhm.
So we might see some drivers top off at the end of this yellow.
Yeah, and those guys might have a good chance. It could become a fuel mileage race to the end, but
Yep.
let's first see what happened to bring out the 3rd caution, 4th technically, because we had that competition caution lap 25. Well, Doug Cady took a wild ride here.
Oh, boy.
I'll show you exactly how this took out.
Oh, yeah.
And he got loose off the corner, got into David Lawson, and really took a hard hit to that outside wall. Other guys just getting shuffled into it. Wiley Cote in the 94, Jessica Shelton also caught up, and Mongian had nowhere to go in the 27 either.
For Shelton and Cote, they just kind of spun around. But obviously the real damage done to Katie and Andre Mongian. So tough break for those drivers for sure.
Take a look at it one more time. And Doug Cady, I think he got the 6 of Wiley Cote to the inside of him just a little bit there. Got loose, and 6 got a nose. And then Lawson had nowhere to go in the 18. And then Mongian had nowhere to go in the 27 when Lawson came up. I mean, we see these wrecks sometimes. They happen. And they're like just domino effect the whole way up the field. They, get in the one guy, they get in the guy ahead of them, they get in the guy ahead of him. That's kind of what happened to Mongian there. He was ahead of that whole thing when it happened, but still got caught up in it. And you see Shelton and Cote in the 6.
On
caught
pit
up late
lane,
in the going.
Donnie Garrett has missed his pit stall. And
Oh,
drove through it.
man.
That just killed the advantage he had in that number 1 pit stall.
A tough break for the 77 there. And the winner off is going to be the 24, but the 84 stayed out an extra lap. I'd imagine he's going to top off, though.
I believe
He's,
he wants to give himself an EOL. So he's probably staying out to get that and then pit for the black flag, I imagine. So
I'm going to have to see how that shakes out for him. 20 laps to go at the moment. When we restart, I imagine it's probably going to be about 18 laps to go.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to have to see that's enough for these fuel tanks. They came on lap 17 in that first green flag run. I'd imagine, especially if they clutch it just a little bit, they should be able to make it. But then again, we also have these caution laps here, so you'll definitely have guys top off in the back of the field.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're Joe DeSpirito, you really can't do that. You
No.
got to stay up front and take your chance of winning this race.
So Doug Cady is still out there in the 7 car, so he'll be
After
trucking
that
on.
wild ride he had. Very interesting wreck there for Doug Cady, but not much he can do. He's got a lot of damage, a lot like Bobby Farrell did earlier on.
Yes, we'll see how that car goes. It was in the catch fence, and
Frank Rivard does appear that he might also be going to the back of the field as well in the 35, and he was running up front before that wreck happened. And some guys, I imagine a couple guys are going to come down. Jessica Shelton and Denny Daniels, a couple of guys who have been in the back of the field. They're going to top off here, and then Dante Reese in the 84 going to top off, and then Frank Rivard as well. Of course, Doug Cady, with the damage he has really nothing to lose. Might as well top off if he's going to try to stay out there.
yeah.
Well, 19 to go now. Lights are still on the pace car, so at least 2 more laps. So that means 17 to go at the most. We get back to racing.
Yeah, it should be 17 to go.
You think fuel will come into play at the end of this one, or do you think it's going to be a straightforward race to the finish?
I think it's going to be a moot point because I think we're going to get another yellow flag. So,
and if we do get another yellow flag, these guys will be able to make it to the end.
yeah,
given that it is under caution for one thing, but they're also going to have an opportunity to come down the pit lane if choose to do so. I think a lot of guys in the back, if another caution does come out, they're going to take that opportunity and come down the pit lane to make sure they can make it to the end of the race. But if we do get another caution, I don't think fuel will come into play regardless.
Mm-hmm.
But it'll be interesting to see who gets this race victory. I mean, telling from this whole race, who do you think will get the race victory?
Well, obviously, the low-hanging fruit is Joe DeSpirito. He's been up front most of the race. When he hasn't been up front, he's gotten back up to the front. He's at the front right now. He's obviously the low-hanging fruit, but I'm going to watch out for Chuck McClure. He's coming back into the picture, dominated early on, back up to 6th.
Yeah, up the 6th there. I'm going to go ahead and pick, and I might tell you, this is my first time with this league. I know none of the drivers except for Jessica Shelton.
Yep.
But I will say this, the way Doug Woolley has been driving this race tonight, he's going to be restarting 3rd. I'd watch out for him. He might make a move at the end of the race. He's been the guy who's been making moves throughout this race. He could have a good shot at the race victory once we get down to the checkered flag here at Talladega.
Oh, yeah, I like that pick. That's a good one.
We'll have to see how it all shakes out.
How about Jeremy Jeffries in 5th?
Yeah, how about this? It's how these races play out. I mean, mentioned Jeffries, he was a lap down before the invert happened. Of course, they gave everybody their lap back who was still on the racetrack at the time. Same goes for Hank Middleton. Of course, we all know what happened to Middleton at the top of the show.
Yep.
Up against second, third gear and falling back.
We had
Donnie
4
Garrett
people.
there. He's been all over the place in this race after starting on the pole. Mark Paglia there, a dark horse for this one. A lot of these guys are still going to have a chance, I think. And, all these guys, most of these guys have won races before in this league, so they all know how to do it.
So 4 drivers came in topped off again. Rivard, Shelton, Daniels, and Ricci. So they have more fuel in their tank. Coming around to 17 to go.
Those guys should be able to make it to the end.
Yes.
However, they've been guys who have been in the back. Of course, Frank Rivard's one guy who has made his way to the front a few times. He was the open winner on Tuesday night. Won the first segment of that, and Jessica Shelton won the second segment.
Watch out for them. They can be aggressive here.
Mm-hmm. And it could be very aggressive here for everyone on this restart. I mean, we saw 3 wide not too long ago. And with the fact that we're going to have less than 20 laps to go, it's going to be 17 to go when we cross the line. Be a little dicey out there for these guys. I think they can definitely handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to have to see how it all shakes out and who gets up to the front. Who knows? Maybe the outside lane won't work as well. And we got a few guys up here we really haven't seen up front that much this race. Bob Seminara and Richard Martin up there. But then again, you got Chuck McClure led a majority of the first part of this race. And the 17, he's 6th. That's the highest he's been since the invert happened. He struggled to get back up to the front, but he's going to have a great opportunity here.
Yeah, I like some of the cars behind him on the outside. Greg Lovell and
Greg Lovell there, and then
Harry
Jerry
Bombard.
Bombard led a lot of the laps in the middle portion
Josh
of this
Vitalik
race.
as well led.
A little ways back there, he's in 12th. Still, all those guys have led at some point throughout this race. Here we go. Joe DeSpirito leading the field. He's taking the inside lane this time. A little interesting there. Bob Seminara, Doug Woolley, Richard Martin, Jeremy Jeffries, Chuck McClure, Hank Middleton, Greg Lovell, Donnie Garrett, and Terry Bombard. That's the top 10 coming to the race start. 17 laps to go here in the All-Star Race, Super Speedway style. The RTG League, here comes the 24. A great run on the inside lane. And Doug Woolley's also going to get a run on that outside there. The outside did not get going with Seminara.
Yeah, that did not work out for them at all.
Jeremy Jeffries there up the third already. Hank Middleton on the inside lane. That outside just simply didn't get going, and they're going to move up. And now Middleton is left to dry on the inside lane. He's most likely going to fall back.
Doug Woolley in second, and he has a whole lane to his inside open to try and make a move.
We'll have to see if he does try to make a move on Spirito here.
Oh.
How about Jeremy Jeffries? We haven't seen him all race long.
Yeah.
But here he is.
In contention.
Contention up to the third position. Bob Seminara didn't get going on the restart, but he can't count him out. I think the 712 is going to have a good shot. I mean, oh boy.
Shuffling.
Got 3 wide back in here. That's Josh Metallic in the middle of the 10 of Terry Bombard. Bombard fell back a lot there.
Yeah, there's some stack up.
That third line. Tough break for driver number 10, Terry Bombard. And they're really keeping it calm considering how late in the race we are right now. But they might just be widening up the clock right now. Outside lane trying to get some of the work there. Hank Middleton and Chuck McClure. McClure's going to try anything here. Donnie Garrett on an inside of the 17. Only 2 guys up there. But they're getting some of the work on that outside lane. Now they're the outside of Richard Martin.
That's surprising that 2 guys are kind of making that work. But I believe the farther up they get, it's going to get harder because there's a lot more stack up further back in the pack. But if they just keep getting people to go up there with them, they see that progress.
I mean, Jeremy Jeffries might be a guy who moves up there. I mean, Doug Woolley, we've seen he's done in this race. He's also a guy who might try to peek on that outside lane. I don't think anyone behind the 24 is going to be content with just letting the 24 win this race.
Oh, no.
Meanwhile, in the back, you got David Lawson. He's lost the draft course. He was caught up in an accident. Wiley Code in the 6 also caught up. He's sort of holding on to the draft right now. He might not be out of it quite yet. Terry Bombard, of course, we saw what happened to him. Got shuffled out 3 wide, fell all the way back in the number 10. Hank Middleton trying to work this outside lane. We've got Chuck McClure behind him. Well, hey, Mark Paglia as well. Great run for him in this one.
Yeah. Haven't talked about much. If at all.
He's been up front a little bit in this race. But he's been in the middle of the pack a majority of the event. But good run for him right now. And if things go his way, if that outside lane can get to the inside lane, might be able to have a shot at winning this race. We're just going to have to see how it all plays out. Middleton's going to try here on Seminara in the 712. And that outside lane has a lot more help now than it did a few laps ago. They're still side by side with Richard Martin there.
Yeah, the outside starting to move up. If they get to the outside 4th place, do you think that maybe the 8 or the 9 would jump up?
It's very possible. They're probably looking back in there. Actually, Seminara might move up. He peaked there, but he did not have the 2 cleared. He has them cleared now, though. But with that, actually allowed those 4 guys to pull away from the number 2 machine.
Yeah.
Middleton had to check up just slightly when Seminara came up on him there.
Yeah, had to go a little wider than he wanted to right there. And that really broke the momentum they had going. They're going to try and get it back now. They have a nice run going.
They do. Trying to get to the outside of Richard Martin in the 43. Hank Middleton on the outside lane right here, but that 43 is going to work the inside, and that inside lane seems to be a little bit stronger right now. But I'd imagine at some point, if Middleton could get up to Seminara, the Seminara might peek out, and then you got Jeffries, and then you got Woolley. Of course, they're leaving a lot of room on the inside of them as well. I mean, there's plenty of space down there to make a pass. You might see someone try to make a move down there, but this track is so wide, there's so many opportunities for them to make a move on a leader here in this race.
Yeah, you got to imagine later in that race, whoever the race leader is, they're going to want to move down to that yellow line because that can almost be like a slide job type move where you move down and kind of get down beneath the guy, and you'll be down there for sure. So they're going to want to be covering that up. Obviously now during this time period when the outside's trying to come forward, you're going to want to be up in the middle to try and force them to go as high as they can and run that faster lane. But later in the race, someone's going to jump low there. It might be Doug Woolley.
We're going to have to see how it all plays out, but they're riding it out to the finish right now. Of course, Middleton's trying to get to the race lead. Same with Chuck McClure. But for these top 5, they're all content with where they are at the moment. However, next time by, it's only 10 laps to go. See, lap 66 to 76 right now. 11 to go at the moment. Do you think fuel's going to be an issue for these guys? Are these guys trying to save? I mean, obviously, I don't think they are. But then on the flip side, they might be. With them being in a single file line like this and not really racing, and to the outside. Goes 77, Donnie Garrett. He's going to try to make something work up there, and that outside lane might get a good run on the 43 this time.
And you mentioned saving fuel. You know who's not saving fuel? The leader. Can't let off at all.
Exactly. We're going to have to see if Joe DeSpirito's going to have enough. I mean, the guys behind him might, because they're drafting right behind him. And Richard Martin moving up to the outside lane now.
They got
some momentum. Now here comes Bernie Mobbs and Greg Lovell on the inside. And a lot of those guys actually moved up and allowed the 99 to close back to the back of the 712. And look out. Number 8, Jeremy Jeffries. He's looking to possibly make a move here. But Richard Martin was waiting for that to happen. And now he's got Donnie Garrett behind him, looking to get to that race lead and around. Garrett got shoved down, or something happened, and almost went upside down and hard into the inside wall. Goes Bernie Mobbs in the 90.
We're still green.
And now,
off the racetrack.
The green flag will remain. We were not sideways or stopped on the racing surface. In-game cautions. So with that, they remain green. It's one thing about in 2003, if the game doesn't deem a cautions necessary, as in that instance right there, as they were not on the racing surface, and around again, Richard Martin in a huge wreck. No. Jeremy Jeffries involved, and this time the yellow will fly. Chuck McClure's all torn up. Frank Rivard, Hank Middleton, Mitch Bombard, Jessica Shelton.
Shelton took a terrible ride down into the inside wall, flipping wildly. And,
where did Richard Martin go? He went flying. There he is in the 43.
They are coming back around. DeSpirito leading Woolley.
It's the race back to the line. We're only going to have a few laps left when we get back to racing, and only a few cars left when we get back to racing as well. So much happened there on that lap.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of people coming
still
in here.
In this thing, and same with DeSpirito. And that's what DeSpirito probably wanted to see, because now he can save a bit of gas under this yellow flag.
And there's only about, what, 6 race cars left? Maybe some more that were back there?
Gary Bombard's looking good. Jeff Crivello, he fell back earlier on. He's still in this thing. Denny Daniels as well. And Dante Ricci, I mean, we saw him fall back earlier on. That's the very reason why he did. And even Donnie Garrett, I mean, all he did was catch some air, you know. He's still in this thing. Once he didn't gain too much damage, never went upside down.
Yeah, and I was just about to bring up the point of no return. And they just kind of got rid of that for me because with this yellow flag. But I was about to bring up reckon with under 5 to go would end the race. So
yeah, so thankfully, hopefully we won't have to use that. Who knows?
I've been told,
we could still end up with another wreck on the last few laps. We're going to make sure these guys don't come down the pit lane here. If they don't, get right to the replays of both accidents. But we want to make sure we get the pit stops if they happen. And this is a very crucial point of the race as well. So I want to make sure we cover it for you. Jeff DeSpirito in the 24. Imagine some guys in the back are going to top off.
Yeah, I can't see the leaders coming down.
Doug Woolley's looking almost.
I was also told an onboard for the 84 on that second crash, and I just went back and watched it, and yes, an onboard the 84, at least following the 84, and that
we'll do that.
Spectacular.
We'll do that. First of all, though, we'll show you what happened. Accident. It didn't bring out the caution. Donnie Garrett and Bernie Mobbs going around, and I saw that 77 just dart to the inside. Not entirely sure if he got bumped. I'd imagine he did, or he had to check up, one of the two. But Donnie Garrett going for a wild ride here, and we'll try to see what exactly happened to the driver of the number 77 here. Is right behind Richard Martin, and he looked to the inside, and he just cut down. And you see Bernie Mobbs take a hard hit to the inside, and now Richard Martin was the first guy I saw go around. And you see Jeremy Jeffries, he made a move to the outside of the 43 there, but they had lost momentum because of the 77 falling outside of that outside lane. Green flag was still in the air. But regardless, they would have been racing back to the line even if the caution came out.
Yes.
But you're going to see right here.
I can't really tell.
Richard
what
Martin
happened.
just got in the Jeffries a little bit. And then everyone getting spun around. Chuck McClure, Jeremy Jeffries.
Yeah, cars everywhere.
Frank Rivard nowhere to go, and I can see why you want to go on board the 84 now.
Yes.
Oh boy.
The 84 driver actually told me that.
94, I should say. Or did you mean the 84?
Let's see. The 84.
Because the 94 is also going to have a wild ride. Jessica Shelton
Shelton definitely
there.
did take a wild ride, but the 84 did a great job missing the crash. That's Dante Ricci. Definitely want to shout him out because that was insane what he did.
I'm going to replay the main accident, the big one that did bring out the caution one more time here.
And we get some interviews in here. There's definitely going to be a lot of people that want to speak
their
mind.
Yeah, there will be. Richard Martin, he cut down just a little bit on Chuck McClure, who then got in the Jeremy Jeffries. And all heck broke loose from there. Hank Middleton just had nowhere to go. He was right behind Martin when all that happened. You see multiple cars go upside down. 3 cars. A lot of cars catching air. 2 going upside down, at least Middleton and McClure. And those guys go up into the outside wall there. Jeremy Jeffries in the 8, and then Frank Rivera. 94, Jessica Shelton caught the grass. That's what sent her upside down. But look at this. Barrel rolling down on the inside grass.
Insane ride right there.
And Frank Rivard in the 35. Unfortunately caught up in that one. Up and down the whole race. What was your whole perspective of that accident? Not sure if he's connected.
Might have some technical difficulties.
In the meantime, we're going to go on board with the number 84 here of Dante Ricci, who was behind this whole thing. Going to be a wild ride. Thankfully, he avoided it. Oh, boy. Saw that 43 going airborne just a little bit, and to yourself, are you going to get involved or what? Thankfully, he avoided it. He's still out there with a shot at the race victory.
He did a great job.
Well, get back to racing here soon. Joe DeSpirito still the race leader. Doug Woolley, Bob Seminara, Greg Lovell, and Mark Paglia in the 28 is now 5th. And hopefully we can get Frank Rivard on the mic here in a moment. Lap 71 of 76 right now. Imagine the lights are going to go out next time by, which means we're going to have 4 laps to go on the restart. It's going to be interesting to see if they can keep it together in the final 4 laps, but regardless, this next restart will be the last one. We do not have overtime here in the RTG All-Star race for 2020. Strict 76-lap race. Once we cross 76 laps, that is it. Jeremy Jeffries in number 8. You were ahead of that initial accident. You tried to make a move to the outside. What was your perspective of all that happened there?
Oh, man. Super Speedway racing. That's just the way it is. Cars behind you get wrecked, and you get clipped in the corner and sent around, and you're just along for the ride after that.
Yeah, and you were a lap down at one point, and then the whole inversion happened. What were your thoughts of that special element in this race?
Hey, that was a pretty cool idea, and I was very thankful for the timing. That helped me out a lot.
Almost got the race victory. Almost had a shot at the race victory there as you were working on the outside, but unfortunately just a little mistake, and all heck broke loose there. But either way, good luck in the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us, and hope you enjoyed the night regardless.
Oh, yeah, I had a fun time, and I appreciate you guys coming out here and doing a broadcast for us.
You're very welcome. Jeremy Jeffries in the number 8 was involved in an accident there. He went flipping, but it was up and down throughout the night. It was a lap down at one point, up inside the top 3, but got caught up there at the end, unfortunately. And Chuck McLaurin, the 17, also caught up in that one. And you had a dominant car early on and got caught in the back of the field. But first of all, what was your perspective of that accident that took place a couple laps ago?
It looked like a guy just bumper hooked the guy in front of him and got into me, and I didn't even see it. I just seen the wall.
Yeah, tough break there in that whole accident there, but inversion happened there on lap 25, and you were one of those guys running up front. Not sure you're too happy about that, but I'm sure that surprised you there on lap 25.
Yeah, that was a surprise for sure. Not one we liked, but I think we worked our way back up to 10th. I think just 3 of us on the third line. So we were done really good until the caution come out and kind of got stuck in the middle there for a while.
Tough break for you there, but you put on a heck of a show. Very entertaining watching you out there on the racetrack, and good luck on the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us here tonight.
Appreciate it, fellas.
All-Star race. You're very welcome. We're about to get to the restart here. Joe DeSpirit on the 24. The 99 of Doug Woolley. It's the first time Woolley's been on the front row. This is going to be interesting here.
Lead his
and
own
he's
lane.
on the outside. But this is going to be it. This is going to be the last restart of the race. Through the gears. And DeSpirito got a huge push from the 712 of Seminara.
To get Woolley down in line.
That might have been it. I don't know if that's what Woolley wants or not. I mean, Woolley's been right behind him majority of this race.
Wait for a last lap pass.
Have to see how it all goes down here. 4 guys pulling out. How about Paglia here? A dark horse for this one. Right there in the 4th position. Anything's possible in these final 4 laps. The thing is, if they wreck, that's it.
Yeah. No overtime, so got to get to the front now, I have to believe, in case that yellow comes out.
How about Terry Bombard there in the 10? He fell to the back of the field. Greg Lovell's moving to the inside back in there. Going to stay single file for now. That's the best place to be at this moment of the race, but Greg Lovell's getting a run on the inside.
Oh, here we go.
is also going to get a run on the inside lane. We're going to have to see if that inside lane works now. Oh boy, Seminara had a shot.
Woolley.
Here comes Woolley to the inside for the race lead. 3 laps to go, and he's going to have all the help in that inside lane. Outside lost a lot of help, and the 99 of Doug Woolley's going to finally go to the race lead. They got to be careful. If they wreck, that's going to do it. Dante Risi and the 31 getting into it, but we remain green here at Talladega. Next time by, 2 laps to go in the All-Star race.
It's 3 and 3. 3 on the inside, 3 on the outside.
Joe DeSpirito getting a run on the outside lane. Doug Woolley on the inside. Help from Mark Paglia on the 28. That 24 is getting an outside lane to work, but they only have 3 cars up there. Now to the outside. Haven't mentioned him that much this race. Josh Metallic back inside the top 10. Will he find his way to the lead at some point? 2 to go here at Talladega for Doug Woolley. That was the first lap he's led all race long. Will he get the race victory, though? It's going to be a close one here.
We can make it back to the start-finish line. We have an official race. We'll come back around after that. That's all they got to do.
They're right on each other in both lines, but that outside lane, much better. Joe DeSpirito getting that help there from Bob Seminara on the 712. But Woolley moving up, trying to side draft the 24. Hoping he does not clear him on the inside. Here we go, coming to the white flag in the RTG All-Star race at Talladega, side by side for the race lead. Oh boy, bit of a bump right there. Woolley lost the inside just a little bit, and DeSpirito takes it with 1 lap to go.
We're coming back around no matter what. Can Woolley get the run, and who's going to move out and make a 3rd lane?
I can tell you, Woolley's going for it. Gotta hope that 28 just stays right behind him if he's going to have a shot at this race victory. Trying to side draft down the backstretch, but the 24 with the advantage and all the help from Bob Seminara behind him. Seminara might clear the 99 and have a shot at this race win.
He can try and move down, but the 99's still down there. We'll see what happens off turn 4.
Single file out front. That's the best place to be. But will somebody find a way around him? They still got the tri-oval. I don't think anyone's going to get to him.
He's got it.
Joe DeSpirito and the number 24 is going to win the RTG All-Star race here at Talladega.
He did what he needed to do. Get out front and worked out.
You can thank Bob Seminara there for that push.
Yes, for sure.
Doug Woolley almost had it. He led 1 lap there, but could not hold the inside. And with what we saw at the beginning of the race, it's no surprise that the inside did not work. DeSpirito held on to it. And one of the dominant guys of this race, one of the most dominant guys in this race, is going to go to victory lane here in the RTG All-Star Race at Talladega.
And you think for Doug Woolley, when he was on the inside, if he had an inch or two more, he was going to clear that outside off turn 2 at one point, and that could have been his race.
It could have been. Joe DeSpirito was very patient there, too. He could have gone to the inside and blocked Woolley, but he knew that outside lane was where he needed to be.
Exactly.
And he stuck to it. And the number 24 of Joe DeSpirito is going to celebrate here tonight. A well-earned victory for driver number 24 here at Talladega.
He's doing it in the grass.
He is.
That's something we don't normally see.
One of the easier places to do it, I guess.
Yeah. We normally see them do it down by the start-finish line. He's doing some landscaping.
Keeping it cool, I guess. He's happy about this one, I can guarantee it. Hopefully we'll get him in and interview him here. And we'll go ahead and show you the official standings of the race. And Joe DeSpirito, your race winner here from Talladega. Bob Seminara there. A little bit behind Doug Woolley, Terry Bombard, Mark Paglia, the top 5. Greg Lovell, Denny Daniels finishing 7th, Josh Metallic in 8th, Dante Risi fell back, was in the back majority of this race, finishing 9th. And Wiley Code in the 6th, I should say, finishing in the 10th position. Jeff Crivello at 11th. Donnie Garrett managed to finish 12th. Mitch Bombard, the only other driver, last driver, I should say, in that lead pack. Then David Lawson, Hank Middleton were able to continue on. Bernie Miles a lap down, and everyone else out of the race. Jeremy Jeffries, Chuck McClure, Richard Martin, Frank Rivard, Jessica Shelton, Andre Mongian, Doug Cady, Tim Nofsker, Bobby Farrell, and Alan Martin all out of the race at the end of that one. But Joe, how about that one there? The race is very clean to the end. But Joe DeSpirito just had the strongest car and was able to work that outside for the race victory.
Yep, that was a great race. We saw clean racing early on as it got down to the end. A lot more aggressive racing as we expect out of these types of races, but a lot of fun, that's for sure. And Joe DeSpirito, I think he was definitely one of the best drivers all day long and showed the patience that you need on a super speedway and showed the skill that you need on a super speedway, and he really got it done.
And he definitely deserves this race victory. Very patient. A lot of these guys are very patient. And I got to say, this is my first time ever seeing any of you guys in RTG. I got to hand it to you. I've seen a lot of online races before, and you guys definitely know how to drive it. Obviously, you're going to wreck at some points, but you guys did a great job. And that was such a fun race to watch. Very enjoyable for me, and I'm sure Joe over here enjoyed it as well. For a couple of offliners,
yep,
we really enjoyed this race, and we really appreciate you guys putting on such a great show here on this Thursday night. Hopefully get some guys in here to interview winner Joe DeSpirito, and here he is. How about that race victory for you there? You had Bob Seminara behind you that whole time. You could have gone down to the inside, but he stayed on the outside. What was going through your mind there during those last few laps trying to beat off Doug Woolley?
I trusted the 712 to push me into the win, and it ended up working out. The second lane was the fast lane all night, and it stayed that way. So I just trusted that and came out with a victory. Very exciting race.
And it was a very good victory for you. Of course, at the beginning part of the race, you stayed behind Chuck McClure. And then when the invert happened, you managed to work your way back to the front. And once you got up front, we could tell you were one of the dominant guys in this race. But a great drive for you. Congratulations on the race victory, and good luck on the rest of the season.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for putting this on for us at Flatout. And I want to thank Terry and David Cannon for putting this on. Great race. Had a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
You're very welcome. Yep. Joe DeSpirito, the race winner here from Talladega in the RTG All-Star Race. See if we get some other guys to come in and interview. But final thoughts on this one, Joe. It was a very interesting race all around. But that outside lane was just where it was the whole time. And there's just no beating it here today.
Yeah, I think we saw early on that outside was definitely going to be the strongest line. And it stayed that way all throughout. And at the end, that's what mattered most. We saw race winner Joe DeSpirito there get on the outside. And even when Doug Woolley got to his inside, he was still able to power back with that push from Bob Seminara there. And it all worked out in the end for that outside lane.
It definitely did. So Joe DeSpirito, the race winner, go through the top 10 once again. Bob Seminara finishing second. Doug Woolley in third. Terry Bombard in fourth. Then Mark Paglia in fifth. Greg Lovell in sixth. Denny Daniels in 7th, Josh Metallic in 8th, Dante Risi in 9th, and Wiley Cody in 10th. Bob Seminara was 2nd there, and you pushed Joe to the race victory. Did you think you might have a shot at getting around him on that final lap, or did you just let him go ahead and take that win?
No, I was sitting right there. I wasn't going to be able to touch him. The bottom lane was not that good. Joe was in the fast groove. So we were just sticking together.
And you pushed him to the race victory. They had a really strong race in that 7-12. What were your thoughts there, though, in lap 25 when they inverted the field? Did you guys see that coming?
Yeah, I called that in the beginning of the race. But it really didn't matter much to me. I was in the middle there after that pit stop. So, but it was cool. I liked it.
Well, great run for you, finishing 2nd here tonight in the RTG All-Star Race. Good luck on the rest of the season, and thank you for putting on such a great show for us. We had a blast calling this race and watching it here. So good luck in the rest of the season, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you guys at Flatout Racing and RTG, Terry Bowman and David Cannon. Thank everybody and all the great racers. Thanks, guys.
Very welcome. Doug Woolley finishing in the 3rd position. You led that one lap there at the end, but just couldn't hold the inside lane. I mean, we saw you at the beginning of the race. You were trying that inside lane early on. Did you think you might have a shot once you led that lap, or do you think Joe was just going to work the outside the whole way through?
I was hoping the car behind me would tuck in a little tighter. Unfortunately, I think we had a little gap there, and that kind of cost us.
It's still a great run for you nonetheless, and I'm not sure what you're thinking there when lap 25 happened, but did you expect that inversion to happen there? I mean, something crazy was bound to happen in this race.
Nope, had no idea, but I think I restarted 11th, so I was okay with it.
Well, either way, a great run for you here tonight. 3rd place run. Good luck on the rest of the season, and you put on a heck of a show along with everybody else, and we had a blast watching this race. So thanks so much for joining us, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you doing the broadcast. Be safe out there.
Very welcome. You too. See if anyone else comes on board or not. But top 3 there. Joe DeSpirito, Bob Seminara, and Doug Woolley.
I remember who we talked to and who we didn't. I mean,
well, we talked to the top 3, DeSpirito, Seminara, and Woolley.
Yeah.
So next in line would be Terry Bombard, if you want to get him in. And Terry Bombard, you were up and down this whole race, but managed to finish 4th. And realized that before the big wreck happened on that green flag run there, you fell to the back of the field. Did you think your race was lost at that point?
No, not really. I saw it all happening. I eased off the gas, got on the brake a little bit, waited for the bottom of the track to clear, and just turned left, and away I went, and that was good. My kid was in front of me, and he made a hole for me, Mitch, and that was sweet. So yeah, I made a mistake in the middle of the race, but you know.
You were also behind that big wreck, I do believe, when it happened, and managed to avoid it. But what was going through your mind when you saw the 43 flying through the air?
not much. I was just like, don't land on top of me, you know.
But I was hoping
that the guys that went up to the wall didn't come back down.
But either way, great run for you, finishing in the 4th position. Like I mentioned, you were up and down the whole race, but still a great run for you. Good luck on the rest of the season. You guys put on such a great show. One of the best online races I've seen, and I've called a few of them, but you guys definitely know what you're doing out there, and it was very, very entertaining to watch that race tonight. But good luck on the rest of the season, and thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Good job, guys.
All right. And Denny Daniels, the number 37, finishes 7th in this race. And you were a little bit farther back in the field the majority of the event, but then you managed to avoid the accident and find yourself inside the top 10. But how was that race for you out there?
Well, like you said, I was in the back and trying to figure things out. It was just by luck and happenstance I got up and even into the top 20 the way I was running. It's Talladega, and you get two lines of cars, and you're not going to go anywhere unless one line moves or the other, and it's just a 50% chance you picked the right line, and just by luck I missed a few wrecks. I got a couple 2 or 3 saves. I don't know how. 3 times I know of that I should have been spinning and I saved it. I don't know how I did that. I hope that looked good on the broadcast.
Well, hey, I will say you guys definitely impressed me, and of all the online races I've done, I can tell you guys definitely knew what you were doing for the most part. But hey, great run for you, finishing in the 7th position after running the back for a lot of the race. And yeah, thank you for joining us, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Good deal. Thanks for sure.
That was Denny Daniels finishing 7th in this race. Got any
If we
more,
get
Joe?
the guy we went on board with for the wreck?
Yeah,
Possibly.
Dante Risi in the number 84. You rode in the back a lot of this race, but I think the big one was when you were behind that big accident that occurred near the end. What was going through your mind when you saw that 43 fly through the air?
Yeah, man. Oh my goodness, that was just pure luck. I mean, I did really sit in the back because that was my strategy from the beginning. And at Talladega, you have a really good chance of getting caught up in an accident. And when I seen the cars flipping in front of me, I knew I had one decision: to slow down and try to move towards cars that were coming down the track and away from cars that were going up. And because the dynamics switch everything up and push him down the track. But I got very lucky. It was unfortunate though for Jessica Shelton. She and I were working together during the entire race, and the crash on the back straightaway with Donnie Garrett getting thrown to the inside of the racetrack pushed me up to the outside, and I told Jess to go up to the outside so I could follow her. And unfortunately, we got her in the wrong lane, and she got caught up in the wreck, and that was really sad that she got caught up in it. But I've worked with her for the whole race, and we weren't able to get both of us in the top 10. But hey, I'll take it. Top 10 at Talladega in a tough race. I think I did a great job today.
Ninth place run for you. Great run, and you guys put on a great show, and we definitely enjoy watching you guys out there. But good luck on the rest of the season, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, and big thanks to all the admins here at RTG and RTR and everybody broadcasting and put the show on. So thank you guys.
You're very welcome. That's Dante Risi finishing 9th. Of course, we went on board with him earlier on, and saw what he was seeing when that wreck occurred. And Wiley Coden, the 6th, was involved in one of the accidents, but still got a top 10 out of all this. It was all over the place for you, but what was going through your mind when you were involved in that accident earlier on in the race?
I wasn't sure. I was looking straight down at the road, and my nose was doing a headstand, and I didn't know how I was going to end up. But I ended up doing okay. They beat on my car and fixed it in about 10 seconds and got me back out there, and I was able to struggle my way up through there.
Still a great run, all things considered. You were in the back of majority of the race, but when that big wreck occurred there you were, and you had a good run there to the end, finishing 10th. But great job here tonight at Talladega. You guys put on a great show. Had a blast watching you guys, and yeah, good luck on the rest of the season.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you to you guys for doing a heck of a job. We've been picking in on bits and pieces of it and enjoying it for everybody.
You're very welcome. Thank you. And the number 6, Wiley Cote there, finishing in the 10th position. We got any more, Joe?
Oh, we got a lot.
We do. Well, we got, remind me, we'll interview the whole field. Josh Metallic, and you were a guy who was up front early on in this race. Then you fell back, and when that inversion happened, you might have had a little bit of trouble getting through the field, but you managed to avoid the wreck, and you got up to 8th place. But give us your insight on this crazy wild race that you had here today.
Yeah, it was fun. Got a decent starting spot. And after the pit stops, really nailed that first pit stop. And I think we had kind of a 9-car breakaway. And I was making the comment that I was starting to feel bad for you guys because it was all single file, multiple packs, not much action. Then all of a sudden the yellow comes out. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? And then I started hearing them call the guys at the back up to the front, and I knew what was going on at that point. And it was tough to make a lot of progress. You could do it in little bits and pieces, but unless there was a checkup, it was tough to make up a lot of ground. And some of the guys I work with got, Tim blew a motor. We were working together with him and Chuck, and work with Wiley, work with some other guys, and those guys at the front. I mean, they're all stars for a reason. They're tough to get to, especially when you're in the back. So it takes some time to get there. And got close. I got a little door check in the trioval, but that was at the end of the race. I already was out of it, but top 10's not bad. I'll definitely take it.
And I will say, and you said you were single file and you felt bad for us, but let me tell you, that was a fun race to watch. You guys definitely knew what you were doing, and I've done online races where they wreck every lap before, but you guys knew what you were doing, and you put on a great show, and I can't thank you guys enough for putting on a great show for us here at F-Run. But either way, great run for you, 8th place run. Good luck on the rest of the season, and thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I can't wait to watch this tomorrow. I hear you guys do a good job, so thanks for doing it.
You're very welcome. Very welcome. Stay safe out there.
Will do.
That's Josh Metallic finishing in the 8th position. And he led at the beginning there before the invert, but then fell to the back of the field, and then unfortunately got caught back in there. But hey, still got a top 10 finish in that race and avoided the wreck. And that's one of the big things I think a lot of these guys finishing in the top 10 needed. Of course, Joe DeSpirito was ahead of that when it happened, but still a wild wreck there. That took out a lot of guys, and we'll have to see if we've got any more guys to interview.
We are good to go. That is it.
Go. So that'll do it here from Talladega. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'd like to thank Seth Cole and Matt Rod for putting Flatout Racing Network on, and they do so much work behind the scenes of this whole project, and it's amazing all that they do. I got to thank them for letting me and Joe call this race. It's an honor to be here and calling online races. I got my start offline, but I just love calling races, and I didn't go to school for it, but hey, I'm glad I'm still able to do it, and it's just so cool to be here. And thanks to the RTG guys as well, putting on a great show. Terry Bauman, the admin, did a great job. The whole thing around was a great race. Of course, you had the technical difficulties at the beginning, but we got all that figured out, and we had a great night here from Talladega. But either way, any final thoughts, Joe?
I just want to echo what you said about all that. Obviously, Matt Rod getting everything fixed at the beginning with all the technical difficulties, getting drivers in here so that we can interview, letting me boss them around to do that. And so did a great job. Once again, the admins, obviously the little lap 25 invert, very funny, being the only one to know about it. So that was a nice little trick there, and I like that. And just an enjoyable race to watch all around.
And we hope you folks enjoyed the race as well. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Flatout Racing Network on Twitch. We apologize for not being on YouTube, but unfortunately, technology, just gets in the way sometimes. Joe DeSpirito, your winner here in the RTC All-Star Race at Talladega. And on behalf of Joe Rutkowski, I think we're good to go. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be safe out there. Follow all the regulations, and soon enough, we'll get there. Back to normal with real racing. Of course, we'll still be doing this as well. We're always going to be here. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of Joe Rutkowski, I've been Napa Fan. And thank you to FRN for putting this whole show on. That is it for me. Congratulations to Joe DeSpirito for the race victory. And I will see you guys later.